Hey folks, Gary from Team Antoine Fishing here, and you're probably wondering why am I sitting inside of a what looks like a garage? Well, this is the winter home of Team Antoine Fishing, and it's about I don't know, a little over 30 degrees outside right now in New Hampshire. So we're not in fishing season yet, but we're very much in full swing of getting things done for the team in advance of the season, and that's pretty much that's a year round thing. I'm always cutting videos and whatnot, and you're going to start seeing some more. I just found some additional footage from our Lake Champlain adventure we did over the summer, so you're going to see some recuts of that. But in the meantime, I wanted to catch you up on some things that we're doing this year. Some folks might find this interesting. Couple things. So we are one of the things I'm gonna try this year, a little more of a change in strategy. We are finding ourselves doing a lot more finesse fishing than we have in the past versus power fishing that let's face it, we all enjoy doing that, right? Who doesn't like taking a big lure or big Texas rig and dragging it over the bottom or in cover and whatnot, catching fish? Unfortunately, those techniques aren't as successful as they were, let's say, in years past, and even a lot of the pros are starting to go to a lot more finesse fishing. And we're doing the same thing. We're finding that more effective in certain areas. Not that we still can't fish other ways too. And I know Mike and I both enjoy the more traditional style, but we're going to have to change. We're going to have to adapt, and that's what we're doing. That's some of what I'm doing out here today. But anyway, yeah, couple things. So, winter home of our boat. Yep, this is a garage we use to store the boat in during the winter. This is new this year. We did this to be able to get access to the boat earlier in the year. I used to shrink wrap it all the time, and man, what a pain in the ass that was. I can't tell you how much heartache it used to bring me towards the end of the year. Not that putting this up was no effort, but this is a lot easier. We can work on things during the winter. We had an issue with our power poles, for instance. I probably should have made a video of that because that was pretty interesting. It involved me climbing in the bilge of the boat and yanking myself out by a sling. So that was actually pretty entertaining. I really should have put a camera on for that, but unfortunately we didn't. So you guys don't get to see that. So what am I doing out here today? So one of the things, a technique that I picked up, and I know it's not new, but it's kind of new for us, is we're going to be using more spinning rods than we have in the past. We've always used spinning rods in the past, but we're going to be using them more on more types of bait, and that's one of the things that's kind of changing for us. Is we're going to be using a lot more braid to fluoro, that is braided line, on a spinning reel to a fluorocarbon leader. So end up using, these are these are a little heavier than my typical, but 8 and 6 pound. This is an 8 and a 10. I have other spools as well, but we have, these leaders kicking around everywhere, and it takes a lot of time to try and manage that. So one of the things that we had gotten a tip from somebody else, another pro, was that if you're going to go braid to fluoro, you got to have a good leader management system standing by. So one of the things that we picked up is one of these things from Railblazer. Unfortunately, they're not a sponsor, so maybe if somebody knows them, they can give them a nudge, because they really should be. Because we're going to give them a free plug here. So we picked up some of these spooling stations, and what they are is they're a device that lets you hold leader line, spool leader line, and spool that out as needed to quickly change leaders, add leaders, stuff like that. Since we're going to be doing a lot more leader management versus fumbling around my day box I have in the front of the boat there, that hole, what we want to try and do is use more of these systems here. So what that's going to involve is some work on the boat here, and that's what I'm going to give you some kind of insight of how I'm doing that, and then I'm going to give you some shop tour, and we're going to do that. It's going to be a fairly quick video because I don't want to take up too much time here, but I am going to show you some of the ins and outs of that. So one of the things that we have, where to put these are designed to be mounted, right? They're a mounted solution. So where to mount that in a Basscat? They're actually Basscat does a wonderful job of designing boats. They manage the lockers are very tight. They prevent against leakage really well. But one of the things is they don't give you a lot of extra room to mount things, and that is something I've always I'm trying to deal with all the time. So one of the things that when we found this solution, and the person showing to me was in a different brand boat, I'm like, well, where the heck am I going to do that? So one of the areas I found is actually in our main forward hold here, and when we have our logo, you can see that. Our main hold, it's got a nice area. Yeah, it's not going to tighten these. just noticing that's a little loose. But our main hold area has a great place to mount these things. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is showing up well on the camera. This is all foam, and basically there are two fairly long supports that hold this the cabinet still, so we can walk. I'm a heavy guy, and we walk on this, and it stands up pretty well. So we could take and try and drill through the foam each and every time on these things. I got 4 of these to mount, but I think what we're going to do instead is we're going to take another idea I had. We're going to take some polyethylene, just some polyethylene picked up from McMaster. So incidentally, I tried to get marine board of this size, and I couldn't find it for whatever reason. And I found a much smaller piece, and they use marine board to mount sonar equipment on, or the the transducers on the back of the hull. So anyway, I was able to find a good piece of this, 2 pieces actually, from a company called McMaster that we use for a lot of our supplies and whatnot. I've used them, working in engineering for many years. So anyway, the idea is we're going to take these. We're going to mount probably 2 each on either one of these, and then we're going to mount this entire solution right up onto here, and that's going to suffice for our leader dispensing system. We're going to do both sides over here on top of this support. So looking forward to seeing how this comes out. It's going to take a bit, so I'm going to do some. I'm not going to bore you with the entire thing, but I'll give you a couple highlights as we go through the assembly of this. But you might find it pretty interesting, so I figured I'd videotape it and share it with you guys as we're doing it. Okay, so anyway, stay tuned. We're going to be doing this shortly. All right, there goes one. Time to mount up number 2. Almost mounted up now. You can't really. You get two good ones in. These are okay. I like how these lay out. It's good when you're happy with your own work, right? Okay, let's get this one put in so we can call it a day. Go home and go inside where it's warm. Well, this absolutely has to clear that. Which is not something we had planned on, was it? Nope. We may actually have to spin these around. Fold in this way, which is fine. If we do that, they gotta clear the. Oh, they clear the ram, no problem. They clear the ram, no problem. Just I'd rather have them all facing the same way. But that's okay. We could do it either way. We could do it either way. That line there is we can't come within a ½ inch of that line. See, I'm talking about. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera or not, but there's a line in the foam that actually maintains the seal. Just for shits and giggles, let's make sure I have what I think I have. In terms of, this is about as far over as I can go. Nah, I'm right on the line. I'm actually going to hit it. So, better off putting it in the center and then spinning it facing in the other way. And that's okay. Just like I did last time. There we go. Oh, doesn't need to be that tight. We just need to get it so it lines up. This is actually pretty slick. I'm impressing myself with my own project. This is much more extensive than I saw the other guy who was actually the guy who was advertising for this company was talking about. You put them all in one cabinet, but he had a steel cabinet, so might have been a little easier. All right, so back here out of the boat. I know I talked about trying to give you guys a view inside the shop, but unfortunately, man, that video did not play out well at all. So you're going to miss that. Going to kind of show you the final results here and try and wrap this up quickly. So anyway, the installation, if you can see, went great. These spool, the line holders work fantastic. I'm going to go over putting one in a second for anybody who's interested, but as you can see, they swing nice when you have all the proper parts installed. They do work rather well. Very well engineered, heavy duty piece of plastic. The mounting just wouldn't work for us, as is. We had to install these big poly blocks in here in the top. That was probably the biggest difficulty of this. Mounting all this together, getting this in the shop, actually didn't take much time at all. The only thing I will say that if you're looking to use the factory hardware for mounting, and you're looking to drill it into a plastic block, I'll give you a tip. 11/64 is the right size bit to use for the hole for this. It's a polyethylene is a soft plastic, not unlike a lot of woods, and that's just the right size to give the hole enough bite where it's not going anywhere. And whatever you use for a mounting hole for your final mounting solution would be fine, obviously, but I just make sure you secure it. It's going to vary on different boats, right? So on the Bass Cat, the entire lid, as we mentioned, is all covered by foam. So there isn't a lot of options as far as what to use, where to mount. Typically, I'd want to use some marine adhesive and stick things places. I used to do that a lot in my other boat, but obviously you can't do that here. Somebody had suggested Velcro tape. That wouldn't really hold, just from my experience with humidity and water and whatnot. So there's that. Let's see. So let me just go over some of the highlights of this. I hope you guys can see this okay. I'll try and zoom in as I'm doing the editing on this, so you're going to get a good look at it. But basically, the spools hold on here really well. They're designed to hold full line spools, so the standard ones you get 125, 200 and so yards. spool. It's designed to hold those. These leader spools are actually a little bit small, but they hold in there just fine. So what you do to hold a leader spool in, it's pretty easy. Swing it out, and when you're using line spools, put it this way a little bit so you can actually see what's going on. But for line spools, this screw down here actually has a lot of function, because what this does is it puts a pressure against the spool and allows for the proper tension when you're actually spooling up like a bait cast reel. Don't do this in a spinning reel. We'll cover that in another broadcast, why you shouldn't. If you're going to load a spinning reel, you need to load it in the same direction that the line came off the reel. So you need to do it like uncoiling, or better off actually getting a spooler that is designed for a spinning reel. There's a couple out in the market. I may do a future video on that, because I've messed that up before. But there's quite a few out in the market for those. But this works great for large spools for bait cast. I shouldn't say large spools, standard size spools for bait cast reels. But also the reason we got it was for leaders, as we're saying. We're going to do a lot of braid to fluoro this year, and wanted something to speed that process up. Don't want this slowing us down at all. So this is going to give us the ability to keep our foremost used leaders in play at all times without having to hunt through my day box. And this way Mike can run up here and grab his leaders without having to stop me from fishing, or vice versa. It also adds a second hand as you're tying, because you can put tension on this and actually tie the spool as tie your knot, the leader knot, whether you're using a Crazy Alberta or whatever it is, FG knot, one of the multiple knots you use to attach those. It takes like 3 hands to do one of those sometimes. This will make that whole process easier. So anyway, let me just show you how this works. So for a leader spool, you're not even going to care about that bottom too much. What you're going to do is you're going to spin this out. You're going to loosen this top thing to get it sliding. Slide it all the way to the top. Put the leader spool in. Drop all the way in. And then you're going to want to drop it down so it's in there, and putting just a little bit of tension on the bottom of the spool. Like I said, standard spool, you're going to be depending on the pinch. On these things, you're not. You're depending on the just the way it is. Now, I put this in here. One of the things, anybody caught me do this, I didn't even see which way the leader comes off. But the idea is the leader is supposed to come off of here. And let me just do this one more time here for the audience at home. Get this little sticker out of here so I can get the line. So let's see. So what we're doing is you take the line that sits here. So it's going to end up being the opposite way that I have that one, right? So we're going to put this in here. You just take this, do the same thing I talked about position, right? So you got to just get it so it's just touching the bottom. Get a little bit of tension on it, and then you tighten this back screw here, right? And you see how much? We need a little. Well, that's not bad. And when you get it where you want, just throw it under here, and that'll hold it. And you just spin this back into place, and your leader dispenser is ready to rock and roll. What I'm going to experiment with, I'm going to go to the hardware store, because I like doing this, and I think it'll work a little better if I actually put a couple of plastic washers in behind this. And I'm going to bring this spool out. I actually wrote to the Railblazer guys and told them I want to do this, because really it's a little bit of play in that. And I'd be more comfortable if it was a little more solid and just sitting there like that. And we can easily do that with a couple plastic a couple nylon washers strung in behind there. So I just need to get the size of the shaft, which is published, and we can go ahead and spool these guys up. I really like the setup. I'm looking forward to using it. So between this and Mike getting some more fish this year, some really big ones, I'm hoping. We're going to do. I'm looking forward to a good season this year. So anyway, yeah, this is the solution. If you guys are interested in doing something like this, feel free to write back to me, and I'm more than happy to tell you any particular things that happened to it. Again, sorry about not capturing all the fun shot, me swearing, dropping tools, and throwing things around. But I think the end result is pretty good to see, and I think it'll be good for both dispensing leaders, and if we have the random occasion to having to spool the bait cast reel up on the fly, we'll have that in the boat. But our primary reason was to dispense leaders, and this should work very nicely for this. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll see you guys out in the water.